Hey, this is Dre with BraceYourself.Podcast, and I hope everybody is doing well today. And hopefully, the temperatures are cooling off to wherever you guys are. They certainly are not cooling off here in Las Vegas, Nevada, as we are still in the mid 100s, face melting heat outside. But today, on today's panel, we have Brad, who we will be speaking about addiction to substances and his journey through it and what he's doing now to help others who have been addicted to substances of all sorts, and which includes myself. I have been interested in I've seen him on his social medias where he's been talking about recovery, and he intrigued me so well that I needed to speak with him on the podcast. So, welcome, Brad, today. Welcome. Thank you for appearing on the podcast. I really
I am
appreciate
very
it.
grateful to be here.
Oh, thank you so much. Thank you so much. If you could just give us a little bit of your background and what made you start this whole recovery kind of production that you have going on.
Okay, a little bit of my background. Is this the first question?
Sure. Yeah, that can be the first question.
Okay. Yeah, so a little bit of my background. I was raised by my grandparents. Um,
Okay.
I came up, you know, I got at some point led astray from the right direction, hang around with the wrong crowd, and I got mixed up, and then only by the grace of God I found recovery. And I tried many times before, and it didn't really work for me. But one of the last times that I tried, I did the steps for the first time, and
Oh,
in those
okay.
steps, I found a whole lot of freedom. And in the 12th step, it says, "Be quick to give away exactly what was given to you." So I found a life of service. When I asked God to change my heart, He gave me a heart of service. So that's what led me to do the things that I do today um, in my recovery program. You know, uh, One addict helping another goes without parallel. It's one of the most important things we could do. And, one of the people, I mean, whenever I first got into recovery, it was a peer. I hung around with people who had a little bit more recovery than me.
Mm.
So that gave me the opportunity to pick up habits that they had. And it really led me into the right direction and finished my steps, and I did what they did. I did what my sponsor did. I was inspired, and I continue to do it today. To the best of my ability, I try to be of maximum service to others.
That's great. That's a really great point because I realize that when you're in the service of others, you do forget kind of what your problems are. You kind of get a different outlook. You get a different, like a brighter point of view, than just being stuck in your own mind, in your own head, being stuck in the cycle. What for the lack of a word. Um, when did you hit that moment when you knew that you needed to change in your life from your addiction?
Okay, so I recognize this question in two parts because when I first identified that I had a problem, I think it was when I was very young and depressed. And what I did was I started seeking answers for myself instead of trusting the process of others. So instead of going to the counselors, so let me tell you, on Christmas Day when I was 10, my mom passed away, and I had no coping skills because I was just a young boy.
I'm sorry
And
about that.
it's all right. And what I did was, um, you know, my grandparents did the best they could. They tried to put me in counseling. They brought me to psychologists, but I wanted to distance myself from that diagnosis. I didn't want to be the kid that was depressed
Mm,
and and away from the class and different. So what I did was I put that pain on the back burner, and it
mm,
was the worst thing I could have done. Even at a young age, I figured I got this. I don't need help, and that's where the problem began.
mm-hmm,
But on the second part of that, I believe the addiction to substances problem came the moment I started taking them. But the moment that it stood out was, I had experienced drinking, I had taken pills, I had smoked weed.
mm-hmm,
But whenever I took the opiates,
mm-hmm.
that was a different monster
Yes.
because that was the first time I recognized what physical withdrawals were. And I remember being at work and I was talking to a very close family member, and I had a tear come down my eyes. I was saying, it's hard for me to stop this. I really was uncomfortable in my own skin when I didn't have those. And that's when I believe I was a turning point in my addiction.
Mm-hmm. That's that's uh that's very insightful for you to have, because a lot of people have to hit. You always hear about the hitting rock bottom type thing, and I believe that. Well, that's what happened to me. That's what had to change for me. I had to learn the hard way. And you seem like ever since a young child, you wanted to find your own way path, your own, like you wanted to learn before you made the mistakes. But even though you still fell into that, into the addiction, it still, it seemed like, it seems like some of us who have addiction problems are trying to fill a void that we can't find to to fill it. So we try to fill it with substances. And it seems like you try to take the more righteous route, as opposed to just saying, "Oh, just screw it. I'm just going to go ahead and do what I want to do," but for you to recognize that at that level, that seems pretty powerful. Um, what do you think? What do you think you took away from your addiction that you wish people could understand? Like after you realized that point when you said, "I can't do this, anymore." That change. What do you think that people should take away from that?
So, what was the point that I changed? Is what you're asking?
Yeah, like what? Well, actually, what I'm asking is, what did addiction take away from your life that you hope that people could understand, so they could see what the
Yes,
addiction does?
I understand now. And you hit the nail on the head when you said, man, it leaves a hole in us. And it's a God sized hole that only God can fill. I truly believe that. Now, the things addiction started to take away from me, it was a lot of physical things, a lot of tangible things like money,
Mm-hmm.
um, possessions, uh, weight, my health started to decline. A lot of intangible things as well, relationships, love, trust. You know, um, I used and drank until the point, it was fun at first and I had a lot of friends, but I drank until the point where that drink was my only friend left
Mm-hmm.
and I was all alone. And, you know, I was just one of the ones that got stuck on it a little bit longer than the rest of the people. And I recognized that. Um, but I have acceptance, and I have a new identity. I had a lot of shame and guilt. But today I'm a little bit more educated on what the difference is between shame and guilt. Because, guilt is, okay, I did something. So, and I feel bad for that thing that I did. But shame is more like I identify with that bad thing that I did, and I am a terrible person. But today I recognize that my identity is different. I'm full of love today. I'm a single dad. I'm a coach.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a good employee. I'm a leader. Those are the things I identify with today. And I'm so grateful for that.
That's a great achievement because I never knew the difference, which you just explained to me, because I live with the guilt and the shame, but I didn't know that there was a difference. And what you just explained to me is is kind of eye-opening because I do feel shame for the things that I did when I was drinking and using, but then at the same time, I also feel guilty for the consequences that came along with it. And so I thought they were intertwined, you know. Um,
Yeah.
so it's eye opening to know that they are two separate feelings or two separate emotions that you don't have to overbear yourself with the with trying to figure out to unwind or what do I want to say, more so like inner get the tangle, to undo the shame and the guilt so that you can work on one and you can work on the other. Like you said, you identify with the positive affirmations that you have and the positive ways that you have grown into your life now. And so, and what helped you take the real first step to recovery?
A moment of desperation.
Desperation.
Yes. So I've, like you said, experienced multiple rock bottoms.
Mm-hmm.
But every rock bottom has a basement. And I could remember several rock bottoms in my life. But this last one, um, I was in the middle of a spree. My girlfriend at the time was pregnant, and my first baby on the way. And I was broke, didn't have a job or a place to live, any skills. And I didn't want history to repeat itself because I didn't have a very good relationship with my dad.
Mm-hmm.
So in that moment of desperation, I literally was out of answers, and that's whenever I seeked God to change my heart. At that moment, I said, "Jesus, take the wheel," out loud,
Mm-hmm.
with tears running down my face. And let me tell you, I had gone to the point to where I couldn't trust my thoughts anymore. I was delusional, um, uh, hallucinations. I was really truly desperate, and at that point, um, I was able to, by the grace of God, turn that desperation into a gift because it has a high correlation with willingness to change. So that sparked the change in me. And with that willingness, I went ahead and I moved out and I started working really hard. And I just believed that a power greater than myself would help me as long as I was working hard. And, that's whenever I got my first sponsor and went through the steps. And even though I couldn't understand fully what they were saying at the meetings, I kept going back because I was with someone with more time than me. And that's what they were doing. So I continued to try to share, try to be of service. It's so important to be a volunteer. If somebody needs a paper read, you read that paper. Somebody needs the coffee made, you raise your hand. If somebody needs help in any way, you raise your hand. And the reason is because it builds character. You become a person that can help people, and it gets me out of my selfishness and self-centeredness whenever I can be in the present moment and help another person. And that begins to build a powerful habit that's going to carry me through life. So I did those things, and I continued my recovery journey, and to the point where it came time for me to get custody of my son that was born. And I walked out of the courtroom as the first man in Terrebonne Parish to get full custody of my son by myself through family preservation court. So today, that's how I'm living.
Wow, congratulations with that, because that is a very difficult thing to do, especially for men. And what I wanted to ask you was, it seems like you do depend a lot on our Creator, and what made you have that spark to know, hey, that's who I need to follow, and how did it direct you to get to either AA or NA to really have that desire to say, I'm gonna do this?
So, in the second step, we come to believe that a power greater than ourselves will restore us to sanity. And what I take that as is I had to believe in something. Um, I didn't develop the faith yet because I had no proof of that this was going to work. But I had to take a chance that it was going to work. So I wholeheartedly made a decision to trust the process and just continue to. And in my journey, I see other people and it's working for them. I know there's some type of validity to this God concept and this higher power concept, because it's so big in the world, and I see people practicing these spiritual principles and they're working. There's no doubt. There's no doubt in my mind that what is more powerful than me? Brad is selfish, self-centered, dishonest, making bad choices at this time. So absolute, how could I not believe that these spiritual principles of honesty, willingness, open-mindedness, integrity, responsibility, those things have to be more powerful than me. So I went ahead and I gave it a try. And the blessings that I continue to receive, it amazes me every day.
Yeah.
Because just when I think, man, this can't get any better than this, it gets better.
Yeah.
And it gets better. And that's just the process.
Yeah.
So that's what and now that I got a little taste of this life, I don't want to stop. I'm nowhere near perfect, but the way that I live today, I'm hopeful that there's a brighter future because of the way that I live.
Well, it seems like you're already there. Because sometimes I know a lot of people who say, be ready for success, because it's going to be at your door knocking, and you're not even going to realize you've landed, And whether it's doing what you do, trying to help others, and you're reaching out to people and you're getting recognized, it's like it's there at your door. You just have to kind of open the door, and there it is, So you have to be ready for it. And it seems like, even though in your history you had your ups and downs, and I've never heard the term that rock bottom had a basement, because every time I hit my rock bottoms, I was like, well, if I just have another drink, I can get out of this rock bottom and start over again and start climbing my way back up. And I know I'll be able to handle it this time. Every time I broke my sobriety. I tried sobriety a few times. One time I went for a full year, and I thought, oh, this is awesome. What am I going to do to celebrate? I'm just going to have one drink. I know that I can't have just one drink. I have to have 30. I have to have, and just like my father, I was the first man drinking and the last man standing. And when you said your friends, you had all these friends and everything until the drink was your last friend. I feel that so deeply, so concrete, because that's exactly what I went through. And I unfortunately never went to any meeting. Well, I went to a few meetings, but I felt at the time like I didn't have a sponsor. I didn't have anybody to help me along with it. I just kind of was going on my own, and I thought I never realized that if you had somebody there who had more time in that could possibly help you, what I did was I just quit. I just quit going, and so I quit cold turkey, and it was horrible. It was horrible. It was almost there was times where I was just like, you know what? It'd be better for me to just start drinking again, start using again, doing whatever, than having to do this on my own. But it took me, well, this coming February, it'll be 8 years since I've been sober. So,
Congratulations.
thank you.
That's amazing.
And I've been meaning to ask you too, how long has it been since now that you're sober?
My clean date is 09/22/2020. Oh, and
Oh,
let me
okay.
piggyback off of what you said about the destination, because you
Yes.
said, well,
Uh huh.
you're there. But I mean, however, I like to keep in mind there's three indispensable principles, and that is honesty, open-mindedness, and being teachable.
Mm,
So I try to stay humble in my recovery program. And I always like this saying. They say a man that likes to run goes further than the man that loves the destination.
mm.
Once you reach the destination, it's like, oh, I'm here now.
Yeah.
But the man that loves to walk is going to keep on going.
Yeah, that's great. That is great.
Yeah.
How do you, and I know with your coaching, how do you approach someone who is crying out for help, who reaches out to you for help, but really isn't ready to quit? How do you manage that?
You know, the book tells us to, you know, I have several family members that are in this situation, and a lot of times I have to practice. Of course, I will be there to hold their hand every step of the way in their recovery. But while they're in their addiction, I have to love them right where they're at. And I don't know if you've ever read the book, The Let Them Theory. Great book by Mel
Mm,
Robbins. And,
yes.
I have to practice that a lot. God grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change. That's you. Give me the courage to change the things that I can. That's me. And the wisdom to know the difference I rely on God for. So, all I could do is share part of my story with a person. And they cry out for help. And sometimes they just have to get a little bit more pain before they're truly ready.
Why do you suppose that is? Why do you suppose that they have to have more pain?
I can only relate it to the pain that I went through. I used because I was hurt.
Mm-hmm.
And I used them to the point where the pain to start to get clean was less than the pain that it was to continue to use, because I used them to the point where it hurt so bad I had no other option than to quit. So I understand where people are coming from whenever it takes so much to change, because it's easy. It's the path of least resistance once we're living that life to continue living it. And a lot of people just don't believe. And you got to believe in God, then believe in yourself
Mm-hmm.
and do the work. And sometimes that's hard, and people don't choose that.
Yeah, it is. It is really difficult because now I look back at myself, and that's the only person I have to compare to, because I don't surround. I had to stop surrounding myself with the same people that I used to. Um, some family members. I mean, my entire family has history with alcohol, and so, but I didn't have the forethought that seem to have had when you were younger. You didn't want to be the kid who was from the single parent family home or the broken home. You didn't want to be excluded from your schoolmates. You wanted to be kind of the normal kid, and I unfortunately did not have that forethought. So I admire that about you, that you did have that forethought. My husband came from a similar background, and he had this forethought that he had to. I'm not going to follow that same path. So I know that I have to go to school. I know I have to learn a trade. I know I have to graduate from college. I know I have to do what I want to do in life, and pursue whatever career, whatever success will bring to your life. And it's so difficult. Do you get frustrated sometimes with people that want to quit and just say to you, do you feel, or actually, this is the better question that I want to ask you. Do you feel used sometimes by those people?
I can say no because it makes me feel good to clean my side of the street. If I do what I can, that's all I can do, and I can't expect for people to be perfect every time. I have plenty of sponsees that asked me to be their sponsor, and then called me a couple times, and they go ghost.
Mm.
So I would never regret answering the phone for them those times that I did, or helping them however they could. Because most importantly, what we can do is plant the seeds that may not grow this month or this summer, but down the road, they'll remember something that you told them, and hopefully the fruits of that will, be obvious later. So no, but I mean, do I get frustrated? Absolutely. I'm fully aware that I'm still human,
Mm-hmm.
and I feel emotional cues. And I saw an amazing video. It's a brain surgeon. He's on TikTok, and he was like, just because you get frustrated or depressed, that doesn't mean you're not spiritually fit. It's a chemical imbalance. And sometimes you just have to go through those things. It doesn't mean you're doing something wrong. That's why we have to learn to sit in our feelings
Yeah.
and don't react with our emotions, you know?
Yeah, reacting with your emotions does a lot of times lead you onto the wrong way.
And handcuffs.
Yes, yes, definitely. Not that I'm admitting anything, but yes, it is. Yeah. So, if just one last thing that I wanted to go over with you is,
Okay.
if your story could become someone else's reason to believe that they can make it through another day, what would you want that person to know?
I would want that person to know, trust God, trust the process, keep working. And that's all you got to do. Don't give up. And I promise, good days are right on the other side of adversity. Right before you level up, adversity is going to hit, but your blessings are right on the other side of that. So don't give up before the miracle.
That's beautiful. That is absolutely beautiful. And I know that you're on social media now. Could you give us like a rundown of where you are so people can find you?
Absolutely. I'm on TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, Brad Babin from Houma, Louisiana. Please do follow me, share. I try to get a message of hope out there, a positive message to people, and I love to engage with my community and just share my message. So please give me a follow.
I will definitely promote that as well. Yeah, definitely,
All
because
right.
you've been a really special guest today. I've been watching, and you never know who's watching. That's the thing, is that I'm so impressed because I had been watching your videos. I don't think I've engaged too much, but I have been watching your videos, and it's so helpful what you do, and it's so impressive, that because you don't you're a lot different than a lot of other coaches that I've seen, where they're using a lot of I statements, where I did this on my own, I had to do. What I've noticed in you is that, number one, you admit that there is a creator who has helped you, who has done everything for you, who saves your life, I'm sure many times. Um, and service, and that servicing your fellow man brings so much blessing to your life. And that's what I noticed about your messages mostly. And I'm so grateful you get. I know you have a very busy life. I know you've told me your work life, and it's amazing that you're able to even stand up and be awake. But I really appreciate you taking the time out to talking to me today. And we hope that, or where I hope and wish you all of the success that that you can encounter. So I appreciate you coming on. And for those of you out there who would like to follow him, like he said, he's available on TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, or did you say YouTube as well?
No, not yet.
Not yet. Okay. Well,
Yeah.
this is the start. This could be the start of YouTube. And
Yeah, fantastic.
we appreciate you, Brad, for everything that you do and the help that you provide, and for being on the podcast. And for that, we thank everybody for listening. And once again, I'm Dre. This is BraceYourself.Podcast, and that's a wrap.
The
So
pleasure was all mine.
thank you.